Just a disclaimer, the Iranian Plateau is a massive expanse of land that stretches from Turkey all the way to the Himalayas in Western Asia. However, the focus of this presentation will be on Iran. But first, the basic information. The location where Iran is situated in is significant. Iran is the country that connects the Middle East to Asia. This meant that a lot of trade had to pass through Iran to get from Asia to Europe and vice versa. Just like Constantinople, Iran became a target by numerous invaders due to this one advantage. In fact, the Mongols invaded eastern Iran in the early 1200s because it was such a key location. The geography, as it should be, is incredibly significant. For a country to prosper, it must have large bodies of water to nourish it. Major rivers and lakes allow civilization to prosper not only through hydrating people, but also through creating fertile land for growing crops. However, there are no major river systems in Iran, and most of the land, specifically 2/3 of it, is arid deserts and rugged mountains. Key mountain ranges, such as the Zagros Mountains and the Elburz Mountains, didn't offer much potential for farming, and they covered a lot of Iran. People still lived in those mountain ranges, though. Many villages were established on the mountains, but they were nothing big. These villages were pretty isolated from one another as well, and the main form of transportation was the use of caravans to travel down dirt paths through gaps and passes between the mountains. The climate was not very appealing as well. Most of Iran, especially the south, is incredibly hot and dry, with temperatures hotter than 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. Lack of rain is also very common in this country, with only about 9.8 inches of rain a year. Much more rain fell at the top of the highest of mountains, which explains why the villages formed there in the first place. Sure, the deserts and mountains made great natural barriers, but that doesn't exactly help establish an empire as mighty as the Persian Empire. As it turns out, Iran's savior came in the form of the Caspian Sea. This enormous body of water is one of the main reasons why Iran is not as crummy as countries like Sudan in terms of environmental benefits. First, the living condition near the Caspian Sea is ideal. An enormous supply of water is close, but the climate is also agreeable. It's not as hot and dry up in northern Iran. In fact, the area right below the Caspian Sea received more than 4 times the rainfall than in the south. The close proximity of the body of water, as well as the ideal weather, made the land between the Caspian Sea and the Elburz Mountains fertile and perfect for farming. This is the reason why big cities like Karaj, Resht, and even the capital of the country, Tehran, is located so close to the Caspian Sea. Even more fortuitous is that a lot of oil and natural gas lie either in the Persian Gulf or the Caspian Sea regions. As you can see, there are numerous oil and gas refineries in Iran, especially near, Iran's other savior, the Persian Gulf. This means that Iran is just surrounded by oil. Thus, a huge chunk of Iran's resources are oil and natural gas, which makes the country rather wealthy. So, in a way, there is no surprise that the Persian Empire was so successful. The Persians controlled the land that linked Asia to the Middle East, which was linked to Europe. Controlling such a key crossroad helped the Persians spread their empire far and wide. Iran's daunting mountains and deserts, as well as the unbearable heat and lack of rainfall, were effective natural barriers. However, the country still had important bodies of water like the Caspian Sea and the Persian Gulf to help the growth of civilization. Even today, those bodies of water continue to help the Iranian people by supplying the country with oil and natural gas, even though Iran is literally being squeezed dry through international sanctions. Iran is a great example of how the geography of the land can affect its people in the past as well as in the future. By the way, my review of Explain Everything? 8 out of 10. Not bad.